So as I've been saying and planning, and I always like to make sure everyone knows where we're headed, we've shaped the head, and now we're going to extrude out the hat. Then we'll do the eyes and the mouth, because those are inward extrusions, and then we'll do nose and ears outward extrusions. And I know we spent a long time getting that shape just right. Today is going to go a lot faster. Usually this part is the slower part. Trying to work with minimal geometry to kind of get it just right takes a little bit longer, but by taking your time here, usually the payout is that it really gets really quick once we start having to do our extrusions, right? So that's the goal. All right. If for some reason you got really lost yesterday or you couldn't get everything just in place, if you've got a half of a head or a head, you can still follow along. It's still going to be very similar. So if you didn't have a fully rounded out head, you could still do, we actually picked a perfect stopping point because you could be doing it all with, is Mario's head up here? Nope, it's not. But like when I extrude out the hat, you can extrude out the hat from these faces up here, right? If this were his head, right? You guys see what I'm talking about? So regardless of where you are, you can try to follow along because all you need is those top faces for the hat and the front faces. So rounded or not, you could still do this. And I'd always rather you follow along than try to play continual catch-up. Continual catch-up, that should be a name brand, right? All right, so I'm going to grab the top faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're doing the hat. So the hat is these top 6 faces. And we're going to use our side view. And we're going to make, our hat's going to be only 2 extrusions. Pull that down just a little bit. Yeah. All right. Our first extrusion is going to be where the bill and the cap meet right here. And we're going to have to make it grow a little bit. And then one more extrusion to the top. It's just 2 extrusions, right? So I'm going to hit Command E. I'm actually going to keep it local. And I'm going to just pull it up. I did not hit the global switch. I might need to expand it out a little like that because this hat gets bigger at the bottom. And then I might need to push that back so this kind of remains flat. And that's pretty good. Now I'm going to do one more extrusion. Command E. I'm going to pull it all the way up to the top like that. Actually, this one I might go local. I might go global. Pull it all the way up. Like so. And I'm going to have to do a little sculpting over here. But I'm going to do the bill. And then we'll be set. So, pull it all the way up. So we've done 2 extrusions. One, the first extrusion, I kept it local, pulled it up. It kind of expanded it out a little bit. Second extrusion, I went global. I used the switch so the switch is off and to the right. I pulled it straight up. All right? Something like that. Before we get to sculpting, I'll just do my last extrusion. And my last extrusion is going to be his bill. 1, 2. And I'm just going to hit Command E. And I'm going to, again, go to global. I'm just going to pull it out. Whoop. And that's my bill. That's how a bill becomes a law. Sorry, that was bad. That's really bad. Okay. That was a great joke. I said that's how a bill becomes a law. It was really a bad reference. It wasn't even a joke. That's why I keep you around, Dylan, because you laugh at my jokes. All right. Let's sculpt this a bit more. So once again, it's 3 extrusions. First one is a little extrusion that goes up to meet the bill. Second extrusion goes all the way to the top of the hat. It looks a little wonky. That we're gonna plan that out. And then last extrusion was the front 2 faces, and we pull that out to have a little bill. And honestly, if you left it like that, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain. Right? It definitely looks like he's wearing a hat. Right? We've definitely given him a hat. We've served its purpose. But if you wanted to make it look exactly or closer to the drawing, here's what you're going to do. First thing you're going to do is you're going to grab this vertex on the corner, this guy. Oops, let me reset that. And I'm going to have to pull it up a little bit. Probably pull it in a little bit. Just kind of, it helps round it out, right? Just kind of keeps it nice and clean. Oop, too far. Makes a nice little circle. I like the top shape of it. The top of the hat looks exactly how I want it, or close enough. If you want to stay in vertex mode, I'm going to be messing with 1, 2, 3 vertexes. These 3 vertexes that aren't the corner. I'll get to the corner in a second. If you want to do edges, you could totally do edges too. It's 1, 2 edges. And now these need to go down. There's more of a dramatic drop. Oops. To the hat. So if you wanted to you're going to move them back almost to the corner. Just so it kind of matches that slope a little bit better. And then I'm going to scale it R. I'm going to make them a little smaller. I'm going to have to move it after I scale it. Just so it kind of has a little bit more of a round shape to it. It's coming in. Something like that. All right. Now I'm going to mess with these corners of the hat. So I'll take the back top corner, that's this edge and this edge, and that I'm going to move to about right there. Oh. Something like that. Then I'm going to take the next 2 edges right below it. 1, 2, that's like the bottom corner of the hat. And I'm going to get them to align with the bottom corner of his hat right here. And that. And it looks like I messed with those vertices too soon. I'm going to have to mess with those corner vertices a little bit more to get it just right. So I'm just going to go to vertex and kind of pop them up. Get it to kind of make it look more like a lip. There we go. Oop, I didn't get those matched. I'm going to pull it up, and then I'll grab all 3 to kind of, there we go. So last thing I did was I grabbed those 3 vertices that were on that corner of where the hat meets the head, and just kind of aligned them better. There's okay. If you want this slope to match a little bit more, you're going to grab these 3 vertices or these 2 edges and do a similar thing we've been doing, right? Just kind of push them back a little bit. If you're like, I want this slope to be perfectly matched, you can kind of pull it around until it's a little bit wider. That's it for the hat. Almost it for the hat. It's looking more and more like Luigi. And in 3 mode, looks even more like Luigi. Hey, Alex, make it thicker than you think you need to do it. You hear me? Make it thicker than you think you need. Some prints have been coming out really skinny. So give it some thickness. Okay. Again, if you want to mess with some details, again, slowly and surely, just kind of manipulate some vertices over here or up here, just to get it looking just right. But I'm quite satisfied with that hat. That's a nice looking hat. Now, if you've looked on the other side, you notice you have these other faces. You can either delete them now. I'm not going to delete them now. I'll be deleting them later. But we are going to need to get rid of these. But we're going to get another set of faces with the mouth, so I'm just going to do it all at once. Okay. 3 more minutes for the hat, and we'll go on to this eye socket. Next step, eye socket. To do the eye socket. If you got lost on the hat, you can do the eye now and then go back to the hat. But the eye socket is going to start from these 4 faces. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna use those 4 faces to start the eye socket, and then we make a mouth sock. And I know that sounds gross, but we're gonna make a mouth sock. Okay. All right. It's similar to everything that we did with the TIE Fighter back in the day. The first extrusion is a flat extrusion, meaning we extrude and we only shrink it, and then we move the vertices around, and then we extrude inward. So we're gonna make his eyeball is gonna be a separate sphere. Okay, so we're just gonna make the eye socket right now, and that kind of freaks a few people out, right? But I'm gonna go to my front view, and I'm gonna hit extrude. Command E. Command E. I'm going to grab the. No, I want to keep it local. Sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. So hit extrude on those 4 faces, Command E, and then I'm going to scale it in a little bit with a little green box, a little red box, and you can see kind of, oh, that's going to be the eye shape. Before clicking off of it, I'm going to kind of get it kind of lined up to where I think his eye is going to be, and then I'm going to have to mess with the vertices individually. I'm going to show you a new trick here. So once again, I'll undo it. Hello, Victor. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to hit Command E. So I'm just repeating. Green box, red box, a little more green box, a little green arrow. Double check it's kind of lined up. Kind of is. We're good. All right. Something I haven't shown you. Something new. How many of you have been manipulating a vertex, but it's on a curved space, and you'd really like the vertex, instead of working, right now the move tool is set to global, and it goes up and down, and it kind of pulls it off of the shape of the guy. You can change your move tool if you double click on your move tool, which is right here, you could change it to, instead of world, you could change it to the object or the component, and that will actually change. Notice how my whole tool got changed around, but now it's actually, instead, it's not actually, the green is not actually going down, it's going down along the face of this of the curve here. So using the tool setting by component kind of helps keep the shape of the face, the roundness of the face that you've already made, to kind of keep it into place. And so what I'm going to do here is my eye socket, those four faces, we have not a hexagon, but we have an octagon. So we have 8 points here, 8 vertices for us to line up with his eyeball. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to hop between 4 and 5, right? So I've got my vertex here, right? And I'll go to 4, and this top vertex is probably going to be right about there. So each one of these vertices on that extrusion is going to line up with a place along the eyeball until the eyeball looks like kind of like an octagon. Grab this corner. Now you can't see the inner corner of his eye, right? So you're going to have to guess, right? His nose is in the way. His nose is so big. Oh, there. His nose is so big that you're going to have to kind of guess where his eye kind of begins. You know what I'm saying? Right about there. So you are going to have to interpret a few things. And this guy, yeah. Component, I don't know if you notice, when I move this guy, it's switched the second it's continually adaptive, where I think object is not. Like it'll kind of orient it for the object, but it won't continually change, I think. An object might be also when you're wanting to just move an object instead of, like if you have like a missile, right? And my missile's pointed diagonally, and then I hit move towards, if I select the whole thing as an object and I change my translate tool to object, then the top, it'll be that y-axis, so up will be this way because the missile's going that way. Does that make sense? Instead of just going up. Keep switching. So the eye is going to look something like that. And then when you're done messing with those vertexes, make sure you go back to object mode. Or just be aware that your move tool is in component. But I like to always kind of keep it at object mode. Huh? Oh, but that, I'm sorry, you're right. Yes, yes. Keep it in world mode. Or you can just hit reset. If you're not sure which mode, just hit reset. Yeah, keep it in world, not object. I misspoke. Scale sticks to object. Scale as default is object. Rotations, I believe, is, oh, it's object. Is it? Yeah. In transform is world, the default. Okay. When you're happy with your eye shape, you're going to extrude it inward 4 or 5 times. Is everyone happy with their eye shape? Yes? All right. Cole, you ready? Right. So I'm gonna extrude globally in case I don't say it. I'm gonna switch it to global. So I'm gonna hit Command E. I'm gonna switch it to global. My first extrusion, I push in just a little bit, and that's kind of like the eyelid lip area, right? Right there. That's like the eyelid, not the eyelid, the ridge that the eyelid kind of covering over. Just give it a little bit of a ridge like that. Second extrusion, Command E, again global. Push it in a little bit more, and this time get it bigger. So green box, red box. So what we're doing is we're making a socket. We're making a house for the eyeball to live. And then probably 1 or 2 more extrusions. Command E again. Global, push it back. Yeah. And then I can either make it bigger or smaller. I'm going to kind of taper it in a little bit. Maybe I'll keep it bigger for a while. And then 1 more extrusion will make it smaller. Command E, global, pull back. And I'm not too concerned with what it looks like, because an eyeball is going to be in there. Doesn't really matter too much what it looks like. There you go. If you are really concerned, right, you could take a sphere right now and stick it in there. If you're like, this is creeping me out, gee, I don't like staring at an eye socket, you can take a sphere, shrink it, and stick it in. But I'm fine with it. Roman, what's up? Okay. If the mouth is the exact same method, except you're using 2 faces instead of 1. Instead of 4, excuse me. The mouth is going to be the exact same method, except you're using 2 faces instead of 4. So with the mouth here, I'm going to go back to my 4 view. My front view, excuse me. I'm going to do the same thing. So these 2 faces down here are going to become the mouth. And they modeled him correctly. They didn't model Mario correctly. They gave him a tiny mouth space. And so you want to have Luigi modeled. You want to model his mouth like this. Let me check. Let me turn the light. Don't model Luigi like this. Don't model Luigi like this. All right. So here comes his face. Command E. Again, a little green box, a little red box, and you can kind of see the mouth already kind of forming. I'm going to pull it up. I didn't hit global, by the way. Now, the eye socket, we have 2 eyes, right? So for the eye socket, I have these extra faces here, and I'm keeping them because that's the bridge of my nose. That's going to be the bridge of Luigi's nose. However, for this mouth here, I have to delete this face. You guys see the face I'm going to delete? So I hit extrusion, and I shrink it down. I'm going to do it again, because I think no one was paying attention. I think I jumped back from helping someone else and jumped right in and said, here, extrude. So those 2 faces, I hit extrude, Command E, keeping it local, green box, red box, a little more green box, a little more red box. I'm going to pull it up a little bit so it's more in line with his mouth. And then I'm going to delete that face. That face right there. Otherwise, when I push his mouth in, he's going to have 2 mouths, which will look very alien. So I'm going to delete this guy. Bam. And now this edge gets moved over. Okay. Same process as before with the eye. We're going to go to vertex. I'm going to double click on translate. I'm going to click on, I'm going to make it component, and I'm going to move these vertices around until they match up with his mouth. The inner lip of his mouth. The outer lip, the outer piece of his lip here, don't worry about it. So we're going to move these around. Until you're happy with that shape. Someone pinging their iPhone? If your tools are getting in the way of selecting the right vertice, hit Q, right? That gets you out of your tool. And W brings you right back. I have to go to 4 mode. Oh, that was in the right place. Right about there. Something like that. Yep. So your mouth looks something like that. Again, it was 2 faces. I did a flat extrusion. Then I moved the vertices around until it matched the shape of the mouth here. And it looks weird. He looks like a Voldemort Luigi because he doesn't have a nose yet. So people are like, this looks really weird. He doesn't have a nose, and we're not modeling the mustache, so he's going to look a little off. Yes, a little. When you look at him from far away, he looks fine. It's me, Luigi. Okay. Last step for today. Now that I've kind of put the mouth in a mouth shape-ish, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with the eye. I'm going to make a mouth sock, which I know sounds weird. So we hit E, Command E. Oops. Just Command E. There we go. The first one I might keep local, and this one's going to be kind of like his lip ridge. So I'm going to pull it in a little bit, and then what I can do is to kind of mold the lips later, I can move these vertices up, and that kind of creates the lip effect. So in a moment, we'll mess with those lips. So I'm going to push it in, and I'm going to kind of push it in a little bit, keep it at local, and so this is like the lip ridge. One extrusion in, and then we'll be messing with the lips. And then, next extrusion, Command E. This time I'll make it global. I'll pull it back a little bit more, just a little bit, and I'll open it up a little bit, and I'll widen it up a little bit. I'm not going to worry about this left-hand side because I'm going to delete those. But I am going to worry, you don't want the mouth sock poking through the cheek. You guys see what's happening there? So be very wary that the inside of his mouth doesn't become the outside of his mouth. That would be gross. So I pushed it back. My second extrusion was a little back, and I extruded it up a little bit and widened it a little bit. The next one's going to be bigger. Third one's going to be big. Command E, global, push it way back, and then go ahead and get it. Going to need a lot of room for a tongue, teeth, all that stuff. Now, we're not going to model teeth for Luigi, so it's going to look a little weird. What happens is you model teeth like dentures. They live in his mouth separately, and you kind of parent them to the rig. So we're not going to have teeth in his mouth. So he's going to be like a gummy Luigi. It's going to look like he's an old man. And then I'm going to do one more extrusion. Command E, global. Pull way back. Maybe right here. And then maybe one more. Command E, pull it back. Something like that. There you go. And if that's looking too weird, you're going to delete the inside faces. Like that. So that's like the inside, that's his mouth cavity. Okay. Last thing before we go. So you've made the mouth sock, but you notice he kind of doesn't have any lips. That outer ring, this is why we did a tiny extrusion, right? So now this outer ring becomes the lower part of his lip. And Luigi's got a big lip, right? So what I did was I grabbed those two vertexes, and I'm matching that kind of like with the lower part of his lip. Looks like I need to do that individually. Oops, I forgot to switch that back to component. So the outer ring here kind of matches the lips. And usually you don't have to hit every single one. You just like kind of have to hit those two in the middle. And that usually generates enough of a lip shape for you to play. All right. So you might want to switch that to pull that up. That one up. There you go. Out. So that outer ring of vertices is now kind of the outer part where the lip meets the skin. And I grab the raw vertex. There we go. And that becomes the lip. If you wanted to pull them out a little bit, you can pull them out a little bit. But you don't need to. It usually kind of makes a nice little cavity type lid. There you go. And it looks weird. You might, if you wanted to tighten it up and make it a little smaller, you can do that. Like a little closer together. Close up the mouth a little bit. It's me, Luigi. Sorry. No. Just listening to you guys, I know. You guys have corrupted me. All right. We actually did the whole period without one, so good job, everybody. All right, tomorrow, and that's it. Monday we'll do the nose and the ears. Tomorrow.